I got another confession to make. I wasn't expecting a 3-0 period for the Canucks.
I see what you did there.
Pretty wild,
When was the last time we had a 3-0 lead going into the first intermission?
Man, we'd have to do some digging because it does not happen very often, but we'll call it.
I feel like I didn't have gray hair then.
No. The year was 1994. Yeah, I mean, just like all around, like it wasn't even, it was just one line. It felt like all 4 of those lines were out there. And I mean, it was a pretty evenly played game, except for maybe Columbus losing it a little bit, taking some dumb penalties, and the Canucks took advantage.
Yeah, I mean, the puck over the glass is just Monahan rushing there, a rolling puck, and a really good job, Linus Karlsson. That's the kind of stuff he's been doing down in Abbotsford, being that net front presence and right there, stick on the ice, dirty areas, and he's really good at playing that position now, really good at boxing out. It's something that I forgot to bring up last game on the Lecker-Mackey goal was his box out in front of the net in New Jersey. That was a big reason why Lecker was able to be open for that goal. So Karlsson doing what he has been doing really well down in Abbotsford and showing that he is almost making that transition now to the NHL level. And it's really a testament to the coaching that Malholtra's doing. These guys bouncing up and down, and when they come up and get into the lineup, they don't look out of place at all, which is huge to the preparation that they're getting down in Abbotsford with the minor league coaching.
I mean, imagine go back a couple of years when the Canucks had a team in Utica. The amount of up and down that we've seen on this Canucks roster, back and forth between Abbotsford, the chaos that would ensue as a result of it being in Utica, and because the coaching style was completely different from what they were doing up in Vancouver. But now with both teams working very closely together, you got the Sedins moving back and forth between both teams. All of a sudden, you have guys that are able to just step into the lineup and make a difference right off the bat.
Exactly, and there's a lot of cohesion throughout the entire organization when it comes to player personnel and how they develop their young players, and it's really starting to pay dividends. We've seen it with D-Petey coming up and just being a 3rd round pick and now looking like an absolute steal of a draft pick. Going forward. I mean, he's not he will be with the big club for the rest of the season. Like, he's no longer eligible for the AHL playoffs, so for all intents and purposes, he is now a full-time NHL player. And that's incredible for that draft class, for him to come out of there as a 3rd rounder and already be ready to play at the NHL level. I mean, that's not only his development as a junior, but the work that he did early this season. I was praising him early on and saying, get ready for him to be called up because it's coming. And then as soon as he came up, everyone saw what I was talking about. And another good period from all the defense, the PK, which is now 4th, knocking on the door of being 3rd best in the league. Another very clean penalty kill. And then now the power play, figuring some stuff out there. We talked about the Karlsson goal, but then DeBrusk getting his power play goal there. Man, could we use him getting on a heater now? There's the one, so hopefully we can see him get going. And then what a play by Hughes for the drop pass to Besser, who had all week, not all day, all week with that puck to pick the corner on Merzlikins. Because, I mean, good luck. You cannot give any NHL score. Any guy who scored 20 or more goals in the NHL has that kind of time. I'm taking them over the goalie 99% of the time.
Well, that's so smart from Quinn Hughes too. Like, he fell, but then you could also see him do the classic veteran thing where he grabs the stick of the guy who tripped him and takes him to the corner with him. And then suddenly the other Columbus defenseman reacts. But like you said, 10 years later, suddenly he gets close to Besser and the puck's already in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, had forever to pick his spot there and made no mistake. That's really good to see. And then Besser also great pass finding DeBrusk. After that first power play with the first unit was pretty rough. Besser's kind of shouldering more of the load as trying to be a playmaker, which he's typically not. It's good to see him trying to get a little bit out of his comfort zone and play a little more of that dynamic game, making him more of a line driving guy, because that's one of the big things I've been saying about Besser that makes him less valuable than some other guys around the league, is that he doesn't have that ability to push the play himself. He needs someone else to drive it for him. But if he can somehow, at this stage of his career, turn that switch and become a two-way threat in the offensive zone, boy, would he really earn that extension and have much more of a case for the 8-8.
Yeah.
8-5, is what I'm saying. If he's just predominantly a guy who you rely on, gets clutch goals, but is just going to be in those areas to shoot. I just don't think it's someone you can invest for the duration that he's asking. But if he's going to start adding that type of extra dynamic to his game and prove to them that, yes, this is where he wants to be and this is how he wants to help and fit in, and he's going to learn to drive the play, then absolutely. Like this Brock Besser I can get behind 100%. It's not like I'm not behind him, but this I can fully get behind. This is the Besser I need all the time.
Is there any downs for the Canucks during that period? Hard to find them when they're
obviously
3-0.
I mean, the only real thing is the face-off dot, which has been a struggle obviously for a bit here. But really no real harm done there in the first period, other than it allowed Columbus to get a few extra shots. But it didn't really lead to any dangerous chances so far. Canucks doing a good job of limiting that. We'll see how the temperature remains on this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a little hot. 3-0 already. The pulse started rising a bit. You could see Columbus starting to get a little frustrated, so we'll see how this second period goes. But I wouldn't be surprised if you saw one Olivier running around looking for someone to chuck Nucks with.
I feel like it's one of those games he's probably not going to find a partner, though.
Joshua might oblige since we're far enough ahead. We'll see. But obviously, you don't want to see him getting an injury. You know what? D-Petey might drop him because he's not afraid to. I've seen him fight in junior, and then also I've seen him muck it up in Abbotsford, and he can hold his own. So we'll see what happens. But looking forward to the rest of this game. Canucks really working hard to stay in that playoff race.
So Max Sasson getting the call up from the Abbotsford. He does not get into the lineup tonight, but he was called up on an emergency basis. Apparently, there's a few guys still dealing with the flu. It seems like the Canucks have had the flu pretty much the entire year. They've just been passing it back and forth. But really goes to what you said about Max Sasson, right? Like he has been working his butt off down there. He's an assist machine, so really deserves the call to come up, even though, half the AHL team is up here. But obviously the Canucks are still thinking he's an asset to have up here with the team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a great bottom six depth guy who with huge offensive upside, and he's working on his game to actually push into being more of a top six guy. He really listens to what the coaches have to say. I love hearing him talk about the learning that he's doing this year and how it's really changed from previously in his career and the work that Manny Malhotra has done with him. It's really awesome to see the type of energy that our young guys have with the work they're doing down there in Abbotsford, and it really resonates when they come up and show how hard they can work and just fit into the lineup and just push the play and do everything they can to show that they want to be here. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I say it's unfortunate that he's not in the lineup, but also he was covering for obvious flu symptoms for some people. But it's good that more of our guys were able to go tonight, because it sounded like it was Bluger who was likely going to be the one that was maybe not going to be well enough to go tonight. So we would have had very interesting center depth had that occurred.
Well, Gary Wiseman, the funniest man in chat, just said, turns out Teddy Fluger was able to play after all.
Hey.
Sasson not needed.
Yeah, he wasn't boogering.
We're on Willander watch. The Boston Terriers, who he plays for down in his in the NCAA, won again, so they will be once again playing for the next game. They'll be facing the 16th Cornell team in the regional final on Saturday, so happening tomorrow. Now, I'm going to show this as well because this came out as well. It's a tweet from Cam Robinson. I'm told negotiations between the Canucks and top defensive prospect Tom Willander are ramping up. And then after you saw this, you said to me, it's actually illegal for the Canucks to be discussing with Willander about the contract already until he's done his season. So my question is, are they negotiating under, the cloak and dagger kind of scene, which we know happens in the NHL? Or is this just the reporter who's trying to get some clicks on his tweets?
I think it could be a case of a reporter just using the wrong words to describe the situation.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe the contract watch is ramping up, but like no negotiations can officially happen between organization and agent until the NCAA season is completely over for that specific player. And that's pretty strict through the NCAA rules. It's not particularly an NHL rule, I believe, from what I was reading. But what is for sure is that the Canucks definitely have an offer ready to go for like the second he's done and ready to be able to be negotiated with. Like they have, like, it's not the first NCAA player they've had to prepare for. So they likely have like his entry-level contract drawn up and ready to send to the agent the minute it happens. So it's not like there's nothing going on, but it's not like there's a back and forth happening at this very moment. We will have to wait for that to happen and see if Willander and the Canucks will have to go back and forth a bit. But honestly, I mean, most junior guys, this stuff kind of happens real quick. Especially with highly touted prospects like this who are excited to get their professional career on the go. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in their game. And if they manage to win that game, then they'll be heading to the Frozen Four, I believe. So it will be not even till the middle of April till his negotiations are able to begin. And we likely won't see him with the NHL team at all this year, and maybe gets into some AHL games before their season wraps up. But as long as his team keeps winning, the more it is likely that we won't see him till next season.
Should be interesting to see, but the more wins he gets, the better, because the more playoff experience you can get, we like. Speaking of Vancouver Canucks defensive prospects, well, he's not a prospect anymore. He's on the team. D-Petey is fast, bro. Geez, like we saw the other day, Quinn Hughes had the fastest recorded time by a defenseman at 24.56 miles per hour. Now coming out that a couple games later, Elias Pettersson is the fourth fastest defenseman in the NHL with a 23.72 speed burst. And this guy is a young dude. He's above Cale Makar and Luke Hughes and all the Jake Sanderson. Is that just further proof that he's going to be a steal in that draft?
Absolutely. And actually, the Canucks have quietly assembled one of the fastest defense corps in the NHL overall. I think they have 5 full-time defensemen now on their roster that are the 59th percentile or higher for overall speed league-wide. They actually have 3 in the above the 90th percentile. Do you know who the third guy is?
Tyler Myers, isn't it?
I saw it. It is Tyler Myers. Yes, he's actually the third fastest defenseman on the team, which is crazy because it doesn't look like it because of how long he is, but
right.
he does cover a lot of ground in a hurry. Simply because he is a giant.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I mean, it makes sense. The thing is, he doesn't get up to speed as fast, but once the man is up to speed, it's absolutely insane how fast those legs can pump him. And so, think about just the Canucks defense moving forward. Like in the prospect pool, they got Willander, Mignot, Kudratsev, like 3 guys that aren't even really being talked about all that much. But these are all three other guys that could potentially be on this Canucks team within the next 2 or 3 years. So the Canucks have gone from a goaltending producing team to now we're a defensing producing team. So it looks great for the future.
Absolutely. And there was a real good piece today done on Kirill Kudryavtsev and his development as a two-way defender on the Canucks social media that I highly recommend chat checks out. If you're curious about his development, he has really blossomed this year with the extra expectations that he's had to fulfill down in Abbotsford with all the injury call-ups for defensemen. He's had to fill a larger role than anticipated, and he has done an absolutely incredible job. So a really good piece there done. A lot of great words from Ryan Johnson and Manny Malhotra about him that will make you very excited as a fan for the future of the defense core in this organization.
Just before we get into the next period, I just wanted to show everyone. So these are all the scenarios what we got moving forward for what needs to happen for the Canucks to make a certain level to make the playoffs. And this is where it's scary. You look at St. Louis. If St. Louis even goes, let's go St. Louis, they go 5-2-1, right? Middle of the pack. That means the Canucks have to go 8-2.
Yep.
Minnesota is a possibility. Edmonton, they've got them on here as well because Edmonton's been absolutely crapping the bed too without Draisaitl and McDavid. When you see this kind of a chart, how much faith do you have the Canucks are going to make the playoffs?
It's tough, man. But, it's sports. Anything can happen, right? St. Louis is one injury away from a key player to losing this hot streak that they're on. And also, hot streaks don't last forever in the modern NHL. So sooner or later, they're going to run into a bit of adversity. And it could be like they lose the last 4 games of the season, right? Like, we just don't know. So these charts are tough to look at, but you still have to have some sort of positivity and just hold your own fate and work as hard as you can to try and win every game going forward.
Cool, brother. Thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you in the post-game show.
Sounds good. Hopefully we can add to this lead and have lots to talk about at the end.
Nothing is perfect.